Hello, this is Rusty Hughes. What follows is a story that I wrote on New Year's Day in 2001. It's called Another Season. Looking out at the snow and ice, I remember things and people from childhood, events that happened more than 30 years ago. I know some people probably have socks older than that. However, from my vantage point, it was a different era, a separate lifetime. Although it exists only in memories now, that time had a tactile quality, one that cannot be replicated in this era of PCs and digital everything. Margaret and Raymond Wheat were surrogate grandparents to a generation of kids who grew up on our little block in the Leclaire neighborhood of Edwardsville, Illinois. Their house was small. I remember 4 rooms plus a small attic, but it had a covered front porch at road level with a wooden porch swing. 2 towering hardwoods, 1 elm and 1 oak, I believe, shaded the front porch, as well as much of the house. From their favorite spot on the front porch swing, Grandma and Grandpa Wheat, as all the neighborhood kids called them, reached out like living bridges from a time long gone. Late spring days, certainly summer days, and often fall days would find the Wheats almost always on that swing, which was just 2 doors down from ours. With Grandpa Wheat, it was always a gruff, "Hey kid, come here." Of course, Grandma Wheat was more kind, usually a gentle, "Good morning," or "How's your mother?" She always laughed at the gruffness her husband would put on for us because he was really a nice guy. Grandpa Wheat usually wanted to show us how something worked, like a butter churn, or have us sit and do some activity with him, like whittling sticks or cleaning snap beans. When I say us, I mean my brother Rich and me. Robin, my sister, was just an infant then. The Wheats had lived in Leclaire for many years before we moved there in 1966. Their kids were older than our parents, mostly. Grandma Wheat often told stories about her boys and their love of the baseball diamond, which we shared, particular plays they'd made. Later, when I got to high school, I saw pictures of her son Leroy in the trophy case. He had pitched a couple of seasons in the major leagues. Whenever I looked at this picture, I remembered how Grandma chuckled when recalling how once he shagged down a long hit near the base of the Leclaire water tower, then wheeled and threw a line shot all the way to home plate. Grandpa Wheat died when I was 9. It was a sad time. In late spring, I overheard Mom talking to someone about Grandma Wheat's cancer. Late that summer, she left us. The Wheat house was vacant through that fall. When winter's first heavy snow came, Rich and I shoveled the sidewalk in front of our house before joining another boy and sweeping through several blocks of houses, door to door, picking up shoveling jobs here and there along the way. After we were satisfied with the money we made, we went home. Walking up our front steps, I looked at the Wheat house a couple of doors down. There was smoke coming from the chimney. Someone had fired the furnace to keep the water lines from freezing, but the place still looked very cold. I walked down to the house, shoveled the front walk and then the back walk. Lastly, I swept off the shallow stoop that served as a step onto the porch, and I sat down to rest for a minute. I looked at the swing, which was lightly dusted with snow. It did not move. It wasn't too long before Dad came down the sidewalk to see what I was doing. I can still see the unasked question I saw in his face then as I sat on that stoop, trying not to cry. Grandma would have smiled.